In this video, we're going to discuss goal setting for athletes and the types of goals that you need to set for increased success. Hey there, I'm Eli Strawman, a performance coach and the founder of SuccessStartsWithin.com. Goals provide you with motivation, direction, and focus as an athlete. But we want to make sure that we are setting the correct goals for the right type of situation, and we are using these goals in the most effective way possible. Now, before I get into the types of goals that you want to set, I want to briefly discuss the benefits of setting goals and how they're going to be helping you and your game. So benefit number one is that goals are going to increase your motivation. When you know what you're wanting to work toward, right? So you have this goal set, whether it is a goal for this game or a goal for, you to achieve by the end of this season or even next season, that's going to give you motivation on a daily basis to continue to train, to work hard, and to try to improve. Goals are also going to help you increase focus. So when we set more daily goals, these daily goals will help us center our attention on what we need to be focused on. But also when we have these long-term goals that we know we want to work toward, they help us focus on a daily basis because we have to set our priorities in order to achieve these long-term goals within our sport. Goals are also going to help you increase confidence because when you set goals for yourself as an athlete and then you begin achieving these goals, that does wonders for your confidence because you work to build this trust in yourself that you can actually achieve what you're setting out to achieve. And then the last benefit is that goals will help you calm nerves, especially if we are setting the correct type of goals for games. Now, the interesting thing here is that if we set the wrong type of goals for games, that can actually increase our nerves, which we'll talk about here in a second. But the four main benefits of these goals for you as an athlete is that the goals are going to increase motivation, improve focus, increase confidence, and they're going to calm nerves if we set the right types of goals. So what do I mean by the right types of goals? Isn't it just, any sort of goal is going to be good because it gives you a direction and you know what you want to work toward? Yes, in a sense, but what we want to do for you as an athlete is we want to split these goals into two different categories. We have outcome goals and we have process goals. Now, both are incredibly effective, and we want to make sure we are using both types of goals as athletes. But we also need to be careful when we are using which type of goal, and especially when we focus on which type of goal. So outcome goals refer to those long-term goals that are focused on the results of your game. Some examples of long-term outcome goals include making a certain team, getting to, be on the all-conference team, having a certain stat line by the end of the season. We could also say that the outcome goal is winning this game or winning the championship. Outcome goals are typically the goals that we think of when we think of setting goals, right? It's my goal is to make it onto my varsity team this year. My goal is to be a starter as a freshman in college. My goal is to make it to the next level. My goal is to average 15 points per game or to hit above 300 this season. Those are the typical goals that we see set as athletes, and those are very important goals. And these are the goals that really provide us with motivation and direction. For example, if I set the goal as a basketball player that I want to average 15 points per game in this upcoming season, that's going to motivate me to really train hard every single day in the off season. Then as the season begins, it will motivate me and give me direction to make sure that I'm still working hard during practice and that I'm working hard during games to get good shots and to be aggressive with scoring because I know that it is important to me to average 15 points per game during the season. However, outcome goals, while they do provide us with motivation and direction, are also the types of goals that can very quickly turn into harmful goals for you as an athlete. And the reason that outcome goals will turn into harmful goals is that when we focus so much on the outcome, when we are actually playing, this leads to stress, fear, worry, anxiety, and honestly, it just causes you to underperform. So outcome goals can very quickly turn into unhelpful goals when we focus on them during games. Now, what we want to do instead of focusing on these outcome goals during games is we want to focus on process goals instead. Because if I get stuck thinking about the fact that I need to score 15 points this game, and then I have a rough first quarter, let's say, what's going to end up happening for the rest of that game? Well, it's likely that I'm going to get frustrated at myself, my confidence might drop, and I might start trying to press and force the outcome that I want instead of just allowing the game to come to me and allowing these shots to come to me naturally. And that's going to stem from the fact that I'm so focused on this outcome goal. However, if I set the outcome goal of, I want to average 15 points per game, and then I use that outcome goal to redirect my attention onto the process of my game, and then I set process goals during the game, and some of my process goals look like Continue to shoot even if I miss. Make sure that I have positive thinking. Be aggressive on the defensive side. And if I start to focus on those process goals, they will likely lead to me scoring points and to me getting better. So process goals for you as an athlete involve the pieces of the process that you want to focus on that will lead to these long-term outcome goals. And these process goals are very easy for us to think about as daily goals. So we've got this long-term outcome goal. It gives you direction, it gives you motivation. You know what you're training for, you know where you're headed within your sport, but the way that you get there is by focusing on daily tasks. These daily tasks are what are known as your process goals. You want to set process goals for practices, and you especially want to set process goals for games. Some examples of process goals look like training every single day during the week, sticking to my nutrition plan, making sure that I'm focused on positive thoughts during the game, trying to be present during the game, bouncing back from mistakes during practices and games. The idea behind process goals is that they will be 100% within your control. An outcome goal, while you do influence it, right? You have a huge influence on whether or not you achieve the outcome goal based on the work that you put in. It's still not 100% within your control. Number one, because it will happen in the future. And number two, because most of these outcome goals are influenced by other factors, not just yourself. However, your process goals want to be 100% within your control, whether it's the process goals that you set throughout the week or the process goals that you set specifically for a training session or for a game. Now let's talk about how you can set these two types of goals. So for your outcome goals, there are a couple questions that you want to ask yourself that will help you set some strong outcome goals. One question is, what do I want to achieve within my sport? Another question is, where would I like to see myself a year from now? Another question is, what is my ideal vision of myself as an athlete? And then the last question is, what excites me that I could accomplish within my sport? Brainstorm those questions and start getting an idea of what are the outcome goals that you would like to achieve. These can be outcome goals for the end of this season, for next year, or even a few years from now if you're in high school and you say that one of my outcome goals is to start on my college team or even to sign to a college team. You want to get clear on what are the outcome goals, these long-term result-focused goals that you would like to achieve within your sport. If you get clear on those goals, this is going to provide you with motivation and direction. Now, the way that you want to use these outcome goals to the best of your ability is that you want to use them as that type of motivation to always bring your attention back onto what you need to be doing today to reach that outcome goal. Let's say that you wake up and you aren't feeling very motivated today. Remind yourself of your outcome goal. Say, I am working right now to achieve the result of getting a scholarship to play in college, so I need to make sure I'm training today and putting in the correct effort today. For games, make sure that you use those outcome goals as motivation to redirect your attention onto the process that you need to be focused on during that game in order to increase your chances of success. Don't get caught up in solely focusing on that result, and especially don't get caught up worrying about whether or not you will achieve that outcome. Once you have that outcome set, it's time for us to set process goals. Now, the difference here is that you'll probably set 1 to 2 outcome goals really at a time, and those outcome goals will remain for a while until you achieve those outcome goals. Then you can set new ones. But your process goals will likely change from game to game or practice to practice, but they don't necessarily need to. So what I mean by that is, if I'm going into practice and I'm setting a process goal that's based on something I want to work on that day, well, a week from now, I might not need to give as much attention to that thing, so that process goal will change, and so I'll start focusing on something else. But the process goals of training every single day, sticking to your nutrition plan, making sure that you are using mental preparation going into games, those types of process goals will likely remain the same. So when it comes to setting your process goals, you want to ask yourself, what am I working on today, if it's a practice or a training session? And then you want to ask yourself, what do I need to focus on to help myself play my best today, if it's a performance? So practice process goals will always be directed toward what you are working on and trying to improve. So these will provide you with focus and intent for the day. Process goals for games help you guide your attention onto what you need to be focused on to help you play your best. So a lot of times the process goals for practices will start to change a little bit more as you improve, whereas the process goals for games will likely stay the same, because once you recognize, for example, that you need to focus on giving full effort and having positive thoughts, those are 2 great process goals for you. Once you recognize that, you don't need to change them just for the sake of changing them. You would want to stick with them if they're working for you. So the idea here is these process goals need to be 100% in your control, and they need to be specific for practices and also for games. But then don't forget those kind of weekly process goals that you also want to set, such as training every single day, making sure that you're sticking to a nutrition plan, mental training plan, resting well, and doing those sorts of things throughout the week. The bottom line is goals are incredibly valuable to you as an athlete because goals provide you with direction, motivation, and focus. But we want to make sure that we are setting the correct type of goal. Use these outcome goals to help you increase motivation and give you direction, help you know what are you working toward achieving. But then make sure that you're setting process goals on a daily and weekly basis to make sure that you are sticking to the actions that you need to take that are in your control that will help you reach these outcome goals. If you have any questions about this video, please let me know in the comments below. And if you're interested in one-on-one coaching or any of the other sports psychology programs I have available, I've put links to those in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I wish you the best of success in all that you do.